But I'll let you just, just
So
think about those.
question.
Just think about those. Think about that, okay? Let's move straight to our next conversation. Now, it was Murphy's Law that averred that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. This stresses the need for vigilance at all times, following the resurgence of Boko Haram attacks in Borno State and other parts of the Northeast. The Senate has called for the immediate establishment of a military base in Hung local government area of Adamawa State. The resolution came after a matter of urgent national importance moved by Senator Iya Abbas, highlighting rising insecurity in Hung and Gombe local government areas of the state, where multiple coordinated attacks by Boko Haram insurgents have left dozens dead and thousands displaced. The Senate underscored the need to reinforce existing personnel with a permanent military base in Hung to better secure the area and prevent further escalation of violence. Kaide, the resurgence of Boko Haram activities in the Northeast, Borno, Northeast, it calls for extreme measures. But citing a military base, in Adamawa State, is it enough?
To start with, it's a good way to start. For the fact that I'm struggling not to accept that word, but it's looking like it. Resurgence. When you remember the terrible days of Boko Haram onslaught in the Northeast, specifically Adamawa, Yobe, and Borno, it was not a good history. You understand? So when a senator is crying out, it shouldn't take time before this is forwarded to the executive to take action. Military base is the way to go. With military base even being empowered and spread in some other places, it's a good way. It is taken for granted when people are not defended. Any attackers can just go there and carry out all kinds of nefarious activities. But hearing that there is a military base, there's a kind of a caution by these attackers. We are dealing with people who are not just dealing with ideology. We're also dealing with people who are very criminal-minded. So whatever it is, for me, it is not debatable that this should be approved. But what is more important is the fact that whatever it is, for us not to have resurgence of Boko Haram elements. I am not comparing evil with evil, but I tend to be more concerned with Boko Haram than bandits. They are all terrorists. At least our law has
I find that very surprising, though. But
what I'm saying is, it's so clear that when you are dealing with bandits, you are dealing with people who want to kidnap, collect money, kill, and all those things. But when you are dealing with people who are moved by ideology, who believe that there is no other way to negotiate, you just have to kill anybody in sight. So that's my worry. Resurgence is a no-no.
Okay. Now, yes, the army should be commended, for their efforts. We should give it to them. But talk to me, Paul, in your opinion, does the Nigerian army have all the tools it needs, to contend with this situation at this time?
I think we need more than the army. I think we need more than another military base. It's actually a good idea. I think we need to strengthen our intelligence gathering capacity. And it's not just the work for the army. You know what comes to my mind? I remember the hunt for Osama bin Laden by the American government. The hunt did not begin with the military. It began with the CIA. The CIA, cultivated sources and did a very good job. It was the CIA that discovered where he was hiding in what's in that compound, Abbottabad, in Pakistan. It was after the, in fact, if you followed or if you have read about it, when they discovered that particular compound where Osama bin Laden was staying, he wasn't going out. His family wasn't going out. there was no way they could see the inside of that. You know what they did? They planted cameras on trees very close to that place. So they discovered that there was a man that used to walk, you know, around the compound at some point. He had the same gait, the same, what's it called, as, height as Osama bin Laden. They call him, is it the pacer? They weren't sure he was the one, you know. They had to take his measurement, they had to measure his shadow. This was the work of CIA, not even the military. It was when it was almost sure, almost certain that, okay, Osama bin Laden, he's here. Then President Obama had to now order the Navy SEALs to go after, you know, based on the intelligence that the CIA had provided.
But we have DSS.
That is where that is exactly.
Our own DSS, you know.
That is where I'm going. I was, DSS is our own version of
yes,
the CIA. I think we expect too much from the, okay, of course, we have to expect much from the military. When it comes to that offensive, you know, mounting the offensive and all of that, yes, you need, but before the military comes in, you know, you're supposed to have the DSS. In fact, do you know what they did, the America did that time? They set up a task force on Osama bin Laden. When they said there was a task force set up, just chase Osama bin Laden, do nothing else. You know, we could do things like this in this country. There's something I've discovered. You see, whenever Boko Haram realizes that there is some, maybe, you know, maybe the military has gained some ground and people are not, it's like we are relaxing, you know. It's like, okay, we have declared this is Uhuru. You know,
technically defeated.
You know, yeah. I know I'm sure they watch all these things when we boast that, okay, yes, they have been emasculated and all of that, and we are rejoicing and, you know all of that. If you remember, we thought that the era of these terrorists going after military formations was over.
Exactly.
You know, it's been a while we heard about it until recently that they even started, you know, even seizing
Someone
military
said
equipment.
it was because of the Northwest situation they had to take much attention. But
Whatever
the thing is, having a military base in Adamawa State, wouldn't there be the talks about, okay, we're having issues in Plateau, Benue, okay, should we have military bases in all of these places too?
I don't have my data, but I believe there are military bases in some of those places. However, if it doesn't exist, it therefore means that it is required, it is necessary.
Okay.
It is something that, like I said, is the way to start. And going back to your question, what do we do beyond the military base? So in order for military base is part of what should not be debated, in my view.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Because this is beyond police, it's beyond what, you know, police who is handling civil issues. We are dealing with terrorists, we are dealing with foreign mercenaries, we are dealing with people who are driven by ideology. So military is the first way to start. And like you said, the issue of intelligence is actually the better way to go. You know, with intelligence, with all these things, these people have a way of moving away when they know you have an edge.
Kaidi.
And this has to do with
I like
intel.
the fact that you're also going in the way of intelligence. But you remember what the Borno State governor said yesterday? You know, during an interview in another station, where he revealed that he accused soldiers and politicians as some soldiers and politicians acting as informants.
It's not news. It's not news. The reason why it is news.
How do we name and shame these people? I mean, what is responsible? What's going
like I
on?
said, it is not news. It is news because it is coming from a governor. It is news. It is not news even in American army. There are people who are working with the enemies. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the question of name and shame it's one of the strategies that can be used. But it's about how to boost the morale of the army.
Okay.
Check them, do a regular, you don't allow the enemies to outpay them. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. Whatever the enemy is using as strategies to induce them, to give them information, those are the block holes. I mean, those are the things, the issues that you need to address. Those are the things you should do everything possible to guard against.
He also said that politicians also
that one is
acting as
sickening.
informants.
It's sickening in the sense that it's also not new. It's sickening in the sense that I was asking that question. I acted as if I've never heard it before. That what does it take to waste lives because of political ambition? Why will people go this far to make country ungovernable and make the leader unpopular and start listing how many lives have been wasted? That such people they are devils. There's no other word to use for them. They should not just be arrested. They should be, let me not use stronger words, but just to say that this is how terrible politics has gone. And I don't know what to do about it, but I think what we should do is, because sometimes when we say, why don't you just announce these people? Why don't you name these people? And you see them not naming it. It tells you that
the governor should not just make it blank. Name them.
Know.
Let us know them. And let the authorities
Have you ever
go
heard
after
it
them.
happen anywhere?
Gbenga, like he said, it's not new. A former governor of Niger State said, even probably people in government. In fact, I think a former president said it also. But the issue is, it's not even about naming. It's about monitoring, catching them in the act. There are some culprits you know, you don't name them. You don't even make them suspect that you know what they are doing. But you monitor their activities. You monitor their activities until you see that there's an incontrovertible evidence. You understand? Sometimes you monitor them to catch the people they are working with. It happens like that. You shadow them. That's what we talk about. Serious intelligence work. Serious, advanced operations. Intelligent operations on the part of
our intelligence officers.
That's what we are talking about. It's not just, just come up now, mention names. Mention names.
Can I even remind him that there was a time a minister was saying we are going to publish their names until thy kingdom come.
Talk about the ones that came from UAE, the names.
You understand?
Terrorist financiers.
So, I'm sorry to use that word. I'm a journalist. They are just headlines. Names are never mentioned. And like he said, why don't you frustrate whatever they are doing? Why don't you make them totally inaccessible? And if you have to even waste them, do you understand what I'm saying? We're not interested in the name, because immediately you mention name, they will sue the government. They will take it to court.
You waste without even letting people know that they have been wasted. Sometimes it's okay like that. Just waste them.
All right,
secretly.
Now, still talking about.
But you have stopped them.
Still talking about insecurity, because the president has often said that governors should do more to end insecurity in their states. But talk to me as journalist on this table. Do you think the president is giving the much needed support to the governors in the Northeast, especially, everything they need to make sure that insecurity ends?
I think that, I won't say the president is not giving them support. Now, whatever the president does, you understand, whatever the president does at his own level has to be what? I even think we should be asking, are the governors supporting the president's effort enough? We've seen governors. I always talk about Lagos, although we have not had the case of insurgency in Lagos, but there was a time that Lagos was, crime was on the rise and all of that. And then the governor, I think it started with Fashola. The Security Trust Fund started, help the police, provided equipment for police, vehicles, set up a fund and all of that. And nightlife became safer in Lagos. In Lagos now, you can practically be moving around 2 a.m. Without being afraid.
We don't even have bank robberies.
That alone, it's the way it used to be. At least I've been a journalist for some time, for a long time, of course. And I remember those days we used to report bank robberies every time. When I was working for an evening newspaper, bank robberies every time. So Lagos is safer now. That's the truth, because of the efforts of the governors. I think governors can do more. You can say governors are not in charge of the military, they're not in charge of the police, but there's a way they can encourage them. Until we get state police or whatever it is.
Call them chief security logistics officer.
Chief security officer. And it's not just
not chief security officer, logistics.
It's not. Thank you very much. It's not even just about giving orders to police and all of that. Interfacing with the communities. You understand? Because if you must earn the confidence of the communities. You know.
Okay.
So that's how governors can come in. They need to do more. I'm not saying the president cannot do more. Everybody should just up their game, whatever they have to do.
Absolutely.
I sincerely believe that where the missing link is that, yes, everybody should do more. But probably the restrained language of the governor is, let us fast track the idea of state police. Let us fast track, because it's not yet constitutional.
Yeah.
Let us fast track things that will make the military and probably the police, answerable to us.
Okay.
Because remember the nasty experience of Zulum and some military men, and they were saying, he's talking, who asked you to join these things? You understand? Because they can tell him that you could have been,
all right, gentlemen.
All right,
yeah, that means we need to talk to the National Assembly. That's to expedite
all right,
action on
gentlemen.
police.
All right, gentlemen.
Yeah.
We need to go on this quick break. And when we return, the conversation continues. Don't go anywhere. Still, John, let's hang out.